everybody, it's Kyle from the Boat Breakers, and today we have a review for you. We just got off the Freedom last month, and we just wanted to touch on some things we didn't like, some things we really liked, and just an overall review of our experience. I do want to preface this video by saying Carnival is one of my favorite cruise lines, and I would tend to book a Carnival cruise before any of their other competitors. But that being said, I do want to tell you honestly and very candidly about my experience, because I want you to have all the information to make a decision, because if you're going to spend your hard-earned money and your PTO that you only have a very limited amount of days to yourself a year, and you're going to make the right decision to see if this cruise is the right cruise for you. So let's just dive right in. I like to start my reviews with all the negative just to get it out of the way first, and sit tight because this one is going to have a lot of information in it. Up first, it is hot in the common areas. I'm not sure if the AC doesn't work in the common areas, but in line for the elevators, it was hot. Just walking in some of the hallways on certain floors, I was starting to sweat a little bit, and that's pretty uncommon for me when I'm walking on a cruise ship. Also, the rooms with the air conditioning were really unpredictable. I had my room set at the same temperature the entire cruise, and some nights I felt like I need to be doubled up in blankets. Other nights I was sweating. So there was just a lot of inconsistency with the air conditioning, and I highly recommend bringing a fan or asking your room steward for a fan. It's not 100% that every room's gonna have this problem, but it's just better to be prepared in that situation. Number two is the ship is sailing at over 100% capacity. And I know that's not just the Freedom, it's totally fleet-wide, and I get that. But I'm starting to wonder if Carnival has the resources when it comes to crew, if they can actually accommodate that 100%. Because when we went to brunch on the first sea day, the line to get into the dining room was literally over an hour and a half wait. So we ended up just canceling our reservation and going to the Lido buffet, which isn't a big deal, but still, if you want to have that really nice sea day brunch, just be prepared to wait a very long time to get seated in the dining room. And while we're on the topic of staff and if they have enough of it, I do want to mention that some of the bars only have one bartender, so they're getting absolutely bombarded with making drink orders, and there's people surrounding their bar and they don't have any backup. So I'm just starting to feel bad for the staff, and I know Carnival should not be booking these ships at over 100% capacity because they are really working the crew to the bone, and I feel absolutely terrible for them, I'm not gonna lie. Number three, there's no nice way to put this, but the ship smells like sewage. And I know older ships tend to have that smell, but this one's very noticeable when you're walking in the common areas and hallways. So not only are you hot, you're smelling that sewage smell. So it's not a great experience when you're having a pina colada in your hand and you're trying to walk to the buffet. It really does turn you off. We sailed on the Liberty, which is leaving out the same port. It's about the same age, and it had a little bit of a sewage smell, but it was very faint compared to how the Freedom smells. So Carnival, I don't know if you guys need to get some air fresheners or just tighten some pipes, but like if you need, just hang some air fresheners from the roof. I'm not a very picky person, but it was just unexcusable. I told you guys there was a decent amount of negatives, so let's just keep going. Number four, the common areas are in desperate need of maintenance. And let me tell you, I've never seen any ship like this ever. There was broken windows in the buffet, so just walking through, there was noticeably cracked windows, and they would just try to cover them by putting a piece of plastic in front of them. It wasn't a great aesthetic, but it was functional, I guess. And also in the common areas, a lot of light fixtures were out, so there were some pretty poorly lit areas in the ship, so if it was nighttime and you wanted to sit down in the buffet, sometimes you were just eating in the dark, which is just, a bad experience. Unless that's your thing and you just came back from a bar and you're feeling like pretty turned up, and then, you kind of want to eat in the dark, which is cool, I guess. But personally, during the, nighttime, 5 o'clock, not totally lit yet, so I would like to have a little bit of ambiance. And my last complaint is Carnival's really not living up to the fun ship anymore. I mean, the clientele is still awesome. Everyone who goes on Carnival is super outgoing, and if you go on Royal Caribbean or Norwegian, a lot of people do keep to themselves, and they don't start random conversations at a bar. And that's what's keeping me going to Carnival, but honestly, the activities that everyone used to love, like the quest, the hairy man contest, the lip sync, they don't do those anymore. And those are huge crowd pleasers, so I don't know where Carnival's trying to allocate their resources. Maybe they don't have enough staff to even cover these activities anymore, but they need to figure it out, because this is the first time I've ever been on a Carnival cruise and really felt like the entertainment was minimal to zero. So Something needs to happen. All right, and now we're going to switch over to the positive things. So we're not just going to tear Carnival apart. And this first talking point that I really liked probably wouldn't have happened if they did have entertainment. So I guess there's always a silver lining in everything. And this is the staff is incredible. And that's always apparent with Carnival. They work their tails off and they always make sure that they put the customer first. But it's really crazy how one venue can change your entire vacation. We spent a bunch of time at the Alchemy Bar, and the staff, all three people that were working every night, really did an amazing job of keeping us engaged, entertained, and they started making custom cocktails for us. It was actually an incredible time. They made sure we used our cheers package, and it was very worth it for us to get the drink package on this cruise. And while we're on the topic of just bars in general, there are so many venues to go out and get a drink. It's actually incredible. I mean, you have the Red Frog Pub, you have the Alchemy Bar, you have the Steakhouse, which you can drink at, even though if you don't have a steakhouse reservation, you can go get a drink, and I highly recommend doing that because they do have top shelf liquors that they don't have at any other bars. So if you're on the Freedom, go to the Steakhouse just to get a drink. A lot of bars, a lot of chances to have a social interaction, and let me tell you, the conversations that you have with just random people is actually just awesome. It's the whole reason I really love cruising, is because you just get to know so many people. You have the same people stuck on a boat for an entire week, and you just get to know them really intimately because everyone starts picking the bars that they're going to frequent, and you just start getting into a rhythm of like conversations that you're going to have with people. Since I was talking about the Steakhouse Bar, let's just go right to the Steakhouse. We might have had one too many cocktails in the Steakhouse, and we decided to get a reservation just really last minute. And let me tell you, the food was so good in the Steakhouse. The sides that I got were truffle mac and cheese, and these mashed potatoes that were literally to die for. And I got a filet mignon cooked to absolute perfection. It isn't included in your cruise fare, but it's $45 a person, and plus whatever tip you decide to give. And that was absolutely incredible. It was some of the best food I've ever eaten on any of the steakhouses throughout the Carnival fleet, even maybe just throughout a bunch of cruise lines that I have sailed with. So I highly recommend splurging for the Steakhouse 10 out of 10 times. And while we're on the topic of food, let's just talk about food in general in Carnival. It was good. The Freedom food was very good. They had a lot of options for the daytime. Like, you could not go wrong with Guy's Burgers. The Lido buffet was always pretty solid. If you're going to do Blue Iguana, I was really frequenting Blue Iguana Cantina. They were killing it. The food was so good there. They also have Mongolian Wok, which not every Carnival ship has. And let me tell you, I personally never got it because the line was also kind of long for it. But my friend that I was sailing with did get it, and he said it was absolutely incredible. He got a noodle bowl. And if you're not doing anything during the daytime and you're just waiting to find like a nice meal, I highly recommend doing it. I was kind of just like, I'm going to hang out tan the whole time. I didn't want to wait in the line. Number 3, which might just be a really minor detail, but to me it was huge, were the beds. The beds were so comfortable. It felt like you were sleeping on a cloud. It just absorbed your body. And every night, whenever I like hit the pillow, I was out within a couple minutes, which that's not the case when I'm at home, but whether it was just being on a vacation or, you know, the drink package having to do with that, I'm just going to attribute it to the bed because that thing was nice. Number 4, I've sailed on 16 Carnival ships. Let me tell you, the comedians on this ship were absolutely incredible. They were some of the best I've seen fleet-wide, and Carnival does have a really good comedy presence in general. So this was like cream of the crop. I'm really surprised that they were on the Freedom and they weren't on a newer ship like the Mardi Gras headlining because they were just so good. So if you have a chance to see Spike Davis, if you see the name Spike Davis on your itinerary, it doesn't matter if you're on the Freedom, the Mardi Gras, the Liberty, any ship, I highly recommend checking out Spike Davis, one of the best comedians I've ever seen. And I have to give props to Spike because he was the only comedian on our ship. We did sail during hurricane season, and unfortunately our cruise was affected. The other comedian couldn't fly in because of a hurricane. So he was the only comedian for the entire week, and he kept it rolling all week. New material pretty much every night. So honestly, just kudos to him. So I do want to say that it is important to tell you guys that this is my first off-season cruise I've ever taken in my entire life. So the clientele was a little bit different than what I'm used to. It wasn't so much the party crowd, which could have some impact on maybe why I didn't have all the fun activities or what have you. So would I sail on the Freedom again? Not necessarily, unless it was maybe the summer or during winter break when colleges are let out and there's more of a party environment. But overall, if I was to spend my money again, I'd probably go on a different cruise ship. Still Carnival, but the Freedom just didn't give me a typical Carnival experience. And like I said, that could be attributed to the off-season, hurricane season nonetheless. But it just wasn't there for me. But if you are going on the Freedom, I'm not going to say you're going to have a bad time. I still really enjoyed myself, but it was just missing a few things that I know Carnival could provide better. And I still think the Freedom was a great time. It was still a great week. Obviously, if I don't have to cook, clean, and I'm getting pampered with towel animals in my bed, like, it's still going to be a great time. Don't get me wrong. Cruising is just always fun for us. But again, I just want to make sure I'm giving you all of the information in my opinions because, like I said in the beginning, you're spending your hard-earned money. You're spending your PTO. That's hard to come by. I just want to make sure you're getting all the facts. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed and you found any of this useful or helpful, I would really appreciate it. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, and we're giving away a free cruise at 1,000 subs. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy. And if you have any questions, please drop it down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Peace.